We had a fake spring.
Oh, no.
We're used to it. It comes with the territory, man. Hey, we've loved having you on before. I like it because I'm a fan. I love talking to you because you're a fan of music and such a historian of what's going on in the world. And it is a crazy time to be talking music. First thing, reassure me, are we going to be okay? We're going to get through this music-wise?
I think that it's going to be bigger than ever. When everybody gets their vaccinations, who isn't going to go to a concert? I mean, I think people are starving for live entertainment.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, I always hear these things like, oh, it's all over now. Yeah, it'll never be the same. I can't imagine why it wouldn't be bigger than ever.
Meantime, we got a virtual concert that we're talking about. You're doing something with Evanescence and maybe three garage bands?
Well, we have, you know, we have 3 garage bands that have become the finalists, you know, in the Cooper Tires Driven to Perform concert thing. And, you know, to me, Battle of the Bands has always been such an American tradition. You know, I mean, it goes back to when we were 16, we were doing Battles of the Bands in Arizona, you know, and that was the most fun thing in the world. So the fact that it's still going on, I think, is a very healthy thing. And these 3 bands, you know, are really, they're all different, totally different. And yet they've all got that charisma. They've all got the playing ability. So, you know.
And they're competing to open for Evanescence at this show that you're hosting. Part of it, they're all
right. It's a virtual show. Yeah,
okay.
Virtual show on May 13th. Yeah.
And they've all, to compete, done a version of your song "Under My Wheels." Have you heard all 3?
Yeah, you know, and one is kind of a metal version, one's a hard rock version, and one is almost kind of jazzy. They took it and turned it into something a little bit more, you know, with a swing to it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. You know, music to me is like, people say, well, that song is this. Anybody could take any song and turn it into whatever they want to. You could take Yesterday and turn it into a metal song.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just depends on how you handle the song and, you know, what you're going to do to it. You know, it's verses and chords and a vocal, and so it just depends on how you treat it.
And what's your role going to be at the show itself, at the Evanescence show?
Well, I get to, you know, the fans are the ones that are really going to determine at www.driventoperformconcert.com. They're the ones that are really going to vote these bands in. I'm basically the MC for it, and, you know, representing Cooper Tires.
And for the last year, you have been keeping busy, even in lockdown. You managed to get an album out. Kind of a garage band feel to the album. You're back with the original guys for some of it.
Yeah, some of the guys well, I went to Detroit, and that's hometown for me, and decided to do a whole album about Detroit with Detroit players, all Detroit players. Guys from the MC5, guys from, you know, Mitch Ryder, all these guys are all hand-picked players. And the whole album kind of covered all the musical scene in Detroit. And to my surprise, it debuted at #1. So, I mean, I was more surprised than anybody.
It's got a garage band feel to it, from what I've heard.
Oh, absolutely,
Coming full circle
and
there.
every band, you know, when you think of it, every single band there is started in the garage. From the Beatles to the Stones to the Yardbirds, the Who, all of us, we all started in the garage learning, you know, the last generation's songs. I mean, we learned all Yardbird songs and Who, Kinks, all that stuff. And now there's bands learning Aerosmith, Alice Cooper, Guns N' Roses.
I remember an interview with you years ago where you said whenever you dream about music and bands, you dream about the original band. Is that still true?
Yeah, I think so. You know, I mean, because we were in high school together, we were on the cross country and track team together before the Beatles. And, you know, and now working with the original band, I've been working with, you know, when we broke up, we never broke up with bad blood.
Right.
We broke up and we separated rather than divorced. And, but we always stayed in touch with each other. So on my last 4 albums, the original band has been on the last 4 albums. And, you know, they're fun to work with, and, you know, we get along like we always did.
Let me shift back to live music for a minute. A year ago at this time, I personally had tickets to 15 concerts, and day by day, I'm sitting and watching my email from Ticketmaster, and they're all dropping off. One of them was going to be you. I was making a road trip to see you and Tesla and Lita Ford. What was it like for you at that time as all the stuff you had booked was dropping off? Were you hopeful that it wasn't going to get... Obviously, you didn't want it to be what it was, but what was it like seeing that
Nobody
happen?
saw this coming, Nobody really saw this coming. We did a big show in Australia remember when Australia was on fire, the whole country?
Sure.
Well, they had a big show in Sydney, and it was us and Queen, and there was about 90,000 people there, and it was a concert for a charity for the whole thing, and that was the last really big concert. Mm-hmm. We had no idea that after that we wouldn't be seeing a stage for a year and a half.
Go ahead.
That was a pretty good way to go out.
Yeah.
I mean, on that concert, but I see it. I see it as something that maybe we needed a year and a half off.
Okay.
But one thing that's going to happen, I'll predict this, I'll be the Nostradamus of rock and roll. Next year and this year, there's going to be a flood of albums coming out. Because all the rockers, they've all got studios at home, and if you can't tour, you're going to be recording.
Do you have live dates set up yourself yet? Or are you giving it a little more time?
Well, we keep looking at end of summer.
Okay.
That sounds doable to me. With all the vaccinations going on now.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had my 2, and
Good.
I think half of the country now has had their vaccinations. I can't see why they wouldn't start opening up concerts.
And how's your health? I know you and the family had a bout of COVID.
Oh, yeah, my wife and I had it at the same time.
Okay.
And at Christmas, right at Christmas. And all it really did with me was it knocked me out. It just, for 3 weeks, I felt like I was hit by I felt like I went 12 rounds with Roberto Duran.
Right.
And I was just beat up. And then every day you feel a little bit better, and you feel a little bit better, feel a little bit better. And, after about a month, you start feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
And so, now I'm a walking antibody.
Wonderful. There's your next album title. Work that in somehow.
Yes.
Hey, one last question before I let you go. Last time I interviewed you, I ran out of time to ask this question. I'm going to go back to the old band, and I'm going to go with what you say here. Your original band, for anybody at home who doesn't know, was called Alice Cooper. You, as a solo artist, are Alice Cooper. I'm going to abide by what you say as I file my music collection. Do I put the original band under A, and do I put your solo stuff under C, or do I put you all together?
Put it all together.
Put it all together.
Because I still feel like, there was the solo stuff that I did, the original band stuff. I think there was 5 or 6 albums that were all huge albums, and as far as I'm concerned, it's all Alice Cooper.
Okay.
And the original band, like I said, have played on so many of my solos things. It was very hard to get back together when Glenn passed away. Yeah. Because he was sort of our Keith Richards. Mm-hmm. And we never were going to get that sound back together. But we came pretty close on this album on Social Debris. It kind of really sounded like the original Alice Cooper band. Wonderful. All right, I'm going to keep them all filed under C, under your orders. It's where I have them anyway. I wanted to make it official. Yeah. That question's been dogging me for some time. Alice, I'm so glad to hear you're healthy. I'm anxious to see you out there live again, and we'll be watching this show with Evanescence, and whoever wins, whoever does the best under my wheels. Cannot wait. All right, man. Thanks. It's always an honor. Yeah, really. Take care of yourself. Okay. Bye-bye. We'll see you, man.